Before I start the video, I have to mention this. I loved Dhurandhar 1, the movie. And the reason why I loved the movie is also partially the reason that I have some criticism for Dhurandhar 2. Don't get me wrong, I love Dhurandhar 2 as well. But I believe there is a little fault of myself as well, that I have indulged myself so much into the world of Dhurandhar that by now, even the more I get is not enough for me. The more of the backstory of Jaskirat that I get is not enough for me. The more of how he won the trust of all of those other remaining members of the terrorist group, Major Iqbal, Khanani, Kuttobi, Beer, the more I know about them is less for me, because I have indulged a little too much in the world of Dhurandhar. It was that much intoxicating, that much enticing to me. But having said that, there are certain things that I loved about the movie. There are certain things that I wanted a little more of. Or there are certain things that has raised some questions in me that I want some answer from. That I wanted some answers of. So here are certain things that about the Dhurandhar 2 movie that I believe I wanted to ask from all of you, from the movie goers, from cinephiles, from critics, from movie students, from everyone. What are your thoughts about this as well? I hope all of us watching this video obviously having watched Dhurandhar, because there is going to be heavy spoiler talk about Dhurandhar in this movie, and obviously after so long I am guessing everyone has watched by now, and obviously everyone is going to be civil about it. Everyone has the independence, has the right to have different opinion about certain things. Everyone has the right to see a certain story in a certain way or want a certain type of conclusion as well, because I've seen a lot of reels by now, AI made reels, where they have made Ranveer Singh meet with his family at the end of the movie and have a happy ending of his own. For me personally, I don't go with that happy ending. I believe Aditya Dhar and Jaskirat wrote the story of Jaskirat in a certain way and showcased us the final shot in such a way that he handed us over the story of Jaskirat to us. And by that I mean he gave us the opportunity to make the decision for ourselves. Either do we want him to go back, or do we want him to go back to his house, or go back to the Black Cat project or the Dhurandhar project. And for everyone it is going to be difficult. For me it was going to be him returning to the facility, returning to Dhurandhar project, because it doesn't make sense for him to go back to his house, because they have already moved on. They have already made a life of their own. They have already have coped with all the stress, with all the trauma that they have gone through, and they have made peace with it. So him coming back to their life is basically bringing an earthquake type of situation to their already stable life. It is shattering all their belief system, shattering all the things that they have forced themselves to believe for all those years, and shattering that illusion, and creating a narrative that doesn't make sense, yet they have to make sense with it. And also the fact that he is a spy, and if somehow the word spreads that Jaskirat has been a spy for Pakistan for all of these years, and someone from over the border gets to know where Jaskirat actually belongs from, who his actual family is, and where he is now, then that will be a threat to not only Jaskirat but on his family as well. So this is a two-way thread. This is a two-way sword. He can have a happy ending with his family, that he gets to meet his family after so long, gets to live with them. But think of it in this way: Jaskirat has been living his life as a spy for more than half of his age. As a 21-year-old or 20-something-year-old, he got arrested and then convicted, and then he was recruited in the Dhurandhar project and then given the chance to serve his nation in a different way. He went in as a spy, and he worked as a spy for so long that it is in his hardware. As we say, swordsman can put down his swords, but he will never forget his swordsmanship. He will never forget that skill. In exactly the same way, a soldier can retire as a soldier, but the lifestyle that he has gone through, that lifestyle that he has brought in himself, will never go away from a soldier. Exactly in the same way, a spy who has been training his whole life as a spy, he has been working his whole life as a spy, that software is installed in him and that will not go away just like that. So him coming to peace with a life that has come to a standstill, has peace in it but has no turbulence in it at all, will shake him from his core as well. So I just diversed, I just went away from my own topic for a while, but coming back to topic, the things that I personally believe for me is a big criticism for Dhurandhar 2 is Dhurandhar 1 was a superior movie for me because of the difficulty level that our protagonist had to go through. First of all, Hamza was a spy who had to infiltrate the gangs of Lehari. He had to win the trust of Rahman Decade while keeping his identity as a secret, while exploiting all the information about all of the activity of the gangs and the terrorist groups, the ISI groups as well, as much as he can, and transferring all the information back to his intelligence bureau as well. I may have said all of this in one sentence, but the amount of difficulty in all of those tasks, as we saw as well, was humongous. His every movement was nerve-wracking. Any wrong movement will lead him to become a sacrificial goat, and that too on an exemplary level, as we saw what Major Iqbal did with the Indian agent that he got. But in the second half, Dhurandhar 2, everything became much more surface level. The difficulty level suddenly dropped down. Every villain became nerfed. My major criticism is Major Iqbal, the threat that we saw him to be in Dhurandhar 1, suddenly became nerfed at certain level. I know, and some people are going to say this about put on this debate about the fact that Major Iqbal was supposed to look down on. It was deliberately put on in this way. It was deliberately shown on this way that Major Iqbal shows himself to be a big thing, but he is not actually a big thing. He is just like his father, who is a coward himself, who showcases himself to be a big gun, but is actually a big mouth with a cowardly backstory and a terrifying backstory as well. But basically, you may put on this logic that Aditya Dhar deliberately nerfed him down just to showcase what kind of an idiotic character he is, or what kind of an silly character he is, or whatever it is. But my question is, the more daunting, the more threatening your villain become, the more hard it is for your hero to overcome that difficulty level, and the more engaging the fight becomes in intellectual level, in tactical level, in fighting level as well. Rahman Decade was such an interesting antagonist for us. Why? Because to break into his consciousness, to gain his trust, Hamza had to go through a lot. Hamza had to go through hell. So, he had to earn his trust first, then execute the encounter plan. But when it comes to Major Iqbal, when it comes to Khanani and Bhuttovi, I understand that becoming the king of Lehari by eliminating Uzair Baloch and Arshad Pappu from the place already gives you a title, already gives you a place in the big league. But even when Rahman Decade was the king of Lehari, he was there for his role. He was there to serve a purpose, nothing else. These people that we are talking about, Khanani, Major Iqbal, Bhuttovi, they are not loyal to their own people. They are not loyal to their own mother. They can kill their mother if they have to. They are not loyal to their own people. They are not even loyal to their own partner. They are even cautious about the people they have working in their own home. They are cautious about the people they have as a henchman, and even more cautious about the people that they are working with, because they can eliminate any one of them in a blink of an eye, because they work as a team but never trust anyone blindly. They are cautious about every one of them and their backstabbing nature. For example, take Khanani. When he saw Rahman Decade openly threaten Major Iqbal and all of them, he immediately called Jamali to inform that he is going to be a problem. So, in front of everyone, he was respecting Rahman Decade. He was applauding him for the work he has done by bringing in all those ammunition for them, bringing in all in such a short period. But behind the scene, he is planning with Jamali to get rid of Rahman Decade because he is going to be trouble for Jamali and for Khanani in future. Maybe for Khanani in future. So that is the nature of them. They are backstabbing wolves. They are loyal to none and listen to no one except for their own consciousness, except for their own self. So how did Hamza was able to win the trust of Khanani, Bhuttovi and Major Iqbal all in one, and nobody doubted him while all of this unknown gunman execution was going on. Bhuttovi asked him, Major Iqbal asked him, Khanani asked him if he has found out anything. But how did a man like Major Iqbal, who when the information of the 9th November before the 26/11 attack, or the probable date was supposed to be 3rd November. When the information of 3rd November was passed on to the Intelligence Bureau, Major Iqbal's character immediately found out of a lot of agents, he at least found out one and tortured him like hell to find out who the actual perpetuator was, who the other perpetuator was, who gave away the information about the attack, terrorist attack. So just like that, the main people of your guild, the main people of your team are getting executed one by one, and also the small henchmen are getting executed openly one by one, and you are telling me that you are not going to investigate it, they are not looking into it. And if anyone asks some basic questions, who went into Khanani's godown where the money was being made last time? Who was seen in the Khanani's godown last time with Khanani? Hamza was in the cell with Bhuttovi for the last time while he got the overdose of insulin. Hamza and Rizwan. And who are the people who are always around while all of these unknown gunman attacks are going on? Hamza and Rizwan. So if your main antagonist, who you in the first movie showed so brilliantly that what kind of a threat he can be, suddenly nerves down so much, suddenly becomes so timid and out of position and out of clue, it makes no sense. For me, your protagonist is in such a high level right now that your antagonist also needs to be at that level. They have to have that tactical fight between them at all time, and they have to have that mind battle between them at all time. Not brawling battle, but the mind battle, how one tops another one. This was brilliantly showcased in Dhurandhar Part 1, but in Dhurandhar Part 2, I believe the roadway for Hamza was too easy. For example, take Arshad Papu. Arshad Papu was not even a hindrance in his roadway. He was supposed to go, and it was much more easier for Hamza to influence Uzair Baloch than to Rahman Decade, because Uzair is a person who works on emotion. And as we saw in the ending credit as well, the people of Dhurandhar project are trained in a particular way that they can target those people who are volatile emotionally. And Uzair was one such prime target. So to influence Uzair to do reckless things was much easier for Hamza than any other thing, especially than influencing Rahman Decade. So with Uzair Baloch out of the picture, Arshad Papu obviously bringing nothing to the storyline in terms of conflict or roadblock. And then the only hindrance that could have come in his way was actually by SP Aslam, who was given a free rein in this movie, who was given the liberty to do anything. And the only person who made his brain work in terms of finding out what Hamza's actual motive could be. Who was the actual roadblock for Hamza? Who could have been the actual roadblock for Hamza? For me, I believe this should have been done by Major Iqbal. Major Iqbal is our main antagonist. He should have been the one who would have provided the main roadblocks in the way of Hamza. He should have been the one who should have dig up the past of Hamza, or dig up the connection of other Indian agents who are making this unknown man attacks in Leari or Karachi at that time. And as we saw by the middle of the movie, where we saw the sacrifice of Alam Bepari, it was brilliant to see the man who gave shelter to Hamza, the man who gave him food, who mentored him, who gave him every information, who looked after him during all those years, and who was the only person who knew the actual identity of Hamza, who was the safe place for Hamza. Him getting killed by the hand of Hamza himself was chef's kiss. It was a masterclass moment. But that whole situation was circumstantial. That whole situation was coincidental. Pinda coming back after a long time, becoming a drug addict, the same thing that Jaskirat told him not to be, then coming back and recognizing Jaskirat even while he is high as hell. They both get into a brawl. Although Jaskirat was not trying to get into a brawl with Pinda, he was heartbroken by the fact that Pinda actually recognized him, and he was, for the first time, Hamza's shell, the exterior, rough exterior that Hamza had, broke down completely, and the soft Jaskirat that was inside him came out. He was never trying to harm Pinda. He was only trying to make him back off from the project. Somehow convince him to back off from the project. But accident happened and Pinda died, and at the same moment, Alam Bapari reaching in was a little coincidental for me. For me, the sacrifice of Alam Bapari should have fueled more angst, more revenge-driven emotion in us towards our main antagonist in some sort of form. It should have, seeing Alam Bapari die so tragically in the hands of Hamza himself, should have made us angry, more fueled against Major Iqbal or Bare Sahab or someone at least. On the contrary, we got to see a very emotional moment. Yes, what happened in that moment was tragic, and how Hamza dealt with it by going to the same Washmabat tea stall and having fruit tea. That moment itself was so brilliant. It showed what kind of trauma that Hamza at that moment was. He cannot scream, he cannot shout, he cannot yell, he cannot tell anyone anything anymore. The only safe space that he had was gone forever. But that was the emotional outcome that looked brilliant. But we feel emotional, but we don't feel enraged. And I wanted to feel enraged when I saw Alam Bapari die, and I wanted to get in the screen and beat Major Iqbal or Bare Sahab even more. I wanted that feeling to enrage that fuel among us. For a lot of people, that sacrifice might have worked in that way as well. But for me, I believe if instead of this being a circumstantial or coincidental accident, it would have been perpetuated by Major Iqbal. For take this as a hypothetical scenario. Major Iqbal trying to find out who are these unknown gunmen and where are they coming from and why are they executing all these men of them in this way, somehow finds a link with Alam Bapari. While Alam Bapari, and at the same time, while Alam Bapari was trying to transfer the chemical component that Hamza demanded, Bare Sahab got caught, and this is that same time when Major Iqbal starts to torture Alam Bapari in the same way that we saw he tortured that Indian spy in the first movie. Alam Bapari is in shackles, he is in pain, he is in agony, and Hamza has been called in to see, to making sure that this is the same guy who mentored you, who you worked under, and look at what he has done now, and do you know anything about him as well? This is the same time when Major Iqbal gets more suspicious about Hamza. This is the same time when, while torturing Alam Bapari as in a playful way, because he is obviously sinister, he has no emotion towards him. So while he is torturing him in a playful way, he is also testing Hamza if there is something inside him, if there is some mole inside him, if he is a mole, or is there any feelings for him or in between them. But this is when Hamza would have had to put on his stoic face, and Major Iqbal might have used Hamza to torture Alam Bapari even more. He might have told Hamza to torture Alam Bapari on his behalf as well. And this is the place where Hamza would have to put on the stoic face once again, just like we saw him in the 26/11 attack, where he was breaking down from inside, but he had to put on that stoic face, he had to put on that show, so that everyone was convinced that he was not the mole, that he was also enjoying like all those terrible people were enjoying, all those terrorists were enjoying. So this is the time that we see him break down from inside even more. Imagine it in this way, this would have enraged us even more. This would not only made our heart break, but also enraged us against Major Iqbal even more. And then after torturing him, Hamza would have had to put Alam Bapari out of his misery, out of his agony by killing him. This scenario would have made us more furious, more angry towards Major Iqbal, while we also get the same heartbreak that we got from the scenario that we actually saw. So my only criticism is, in the pursuit of making Hamza's character so strong, so almost at untouchable level, because In this movie, Hamza really didn't have to go through any of such big roadblocks. For every certain roadblock, he had an answer. We see SP Aslam getting suspicious of Hamza, and immediately we saw that Hamza has a mole inside LTF as well, inside the same organization that SP Aslam was working in. So for me, the story became a little too easy for Hamza. If the antagonist was the main reason of conflict in this movie as well, if he would have made more life more miserable for Hamza in this movie as well, just like Rahman Dakait did. And he like Rahman Dakait was a very bad villain, was a very bad character, but Hamza had to endure it all, even though he could have killed him in any moment, but to not raise any suspicion, to get everyone to trust him, to get into the gang even more, he had to endure it all. In the first interaction of SP Aslam and Major Iqbal, we get to know that the execution of Rahman Dakait was not actually personal vendetta of SP Aslam, but personal vendetta of Bare Sahab and Rahman Dakait. This is also the scene where Aditya Dhar took the inspiration from real life scenario that happened in Bangladesh a few days ago in the case of Dipu Chandra Das, and he took the incident and showcased it in the story. But that is the only moment that we saw Major Iqbal being a proper threat to anyone, how he can manipulate the story, how he can manipulate people, how he can order such a chaos in a blink of an eye. After that, no such threat against anyone, mostly against Hamza, we saw created by him. Then another big twist that came in the latter half, our Jamil Jamali being the actual Dhurandhar, being the person who infiltrated Pakistan's politics much earlier. This was very big of a shock value. Yes, this worked as a shock value very strongly, but as much as I think of it now, it makes less and less sense. Because Jamali was the first person that stopped the encounter of Rahman Dakait before as well, and he made the life hell for Hamza, and while SP Aslam was trying to execute Rahman Dakait in the second time as well. And you are telling me you have the information about the main man, the Bare Sahab, for all of these years. You got the chance to shake your hand with him, and the same man who caused so many chaos, so many havoc, so many terror attacks in your country, you, in the name of torturing him and keeping him alive while torturing him, are still keeping him alive while he, in fragile state, is still executing all those plans. Please tell me, how does this make sense? You, the main culprit who is doing all of this attack, is still alive. He is in a fragile state, true, but still alive. And you are telling me that you are poisoning him slowly, giving him that slow death, turmoiling his life slowly, while your nation is actually getting attacked through his master planning, yet being in a fragile state. How does that make sense? So these were some of the big questions for some criticisms of Dhurandhar 2 from my part. There are some other questions as well, like the Greenleaf project, the demonetization project. You have shown it in a way that it was a way to stop counterfeit money getting into your own country. It was a method of stopping the opposition party at that point, who was taking bribe from Pakistan, whose activist, university professor, the politicians, everyone were taking money from Pakistan. It was a method of stopping those money coming in, 60,000 crore money coming, counterfeit money coming in your country. Very good. But that decision in real life had a lot of criticism as well, had a lot of consequence as well. If you show the good results, please show the bad results as well, because you did. In the first movie, you showed how the 26/11 attack, the parliament attack, all of this had some repercussions, how it affected people, how it affected Ajay Sanyal. So if you showed it so nicely in the first half of the movie, show it in the second half of the movie as well, like the Uri surgical attack. The surgical strike happened because the terrorists attacked the army base and killed a lot of army personnel mercilessly. So it was a retaliation attack. It was the answer to that attack. So if you showcase the 26/11 attack and the parliament attacks and so brilliantly, and the retrospection, the self-retrospection of Ajay Sanyal so brilliantly, Why was there no self retrospection of Ajay Sanyal in during this attack as well? Many might have said that that would have made the story prolonged. It might have made it a 5-hour movie. Dhurandhar is a web show. Dhurandhar is more like a web show. It was never designed in a way that a movie structure goes in India. The interval that we saw was never supposed to be the interval as well. So if you're taking the time to create universe so big, a universe that has so many characters, enticing characters, that has so many tales, that are so indulging, that are so captivating. Indulge a little more. Maybe a less of the Arshad Papu sequence where it was prolonged for a little too long, because I believe Arshad Papu was never a hindrance. So the gang war that we saw, the mostly firecracker, mostly big bang like explosions, and Ranveer Singh walking in style or running around with a gun. The first action sequence was a brilliant action sequence, and it showcased what capability Jaskirat had. But in rest of all of them, except for the final sequence, it was majorly cinematic shots, cinematic B-roll. So maybe cut a little in there and enter a little more information in the middle might have been a little more enticing for me. I wanted to indulge a little more in the world of Dhurandhar. That's it. You may say that was a perfect cut for you. This was perfect. Only a little story in the beginning or a little backstory has worked for you. Fine, worked for me as well. I'm not complaining. I just want to indulge a little more. If Dhurandhar was a web show, I would have watched it 7 times, 8 times. If it had been a 10-hour web show, I would have binge watched it 10 times. That is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people are trying to say. There is a lot more we want to know, we want to see. Stop trying to judge other people by the same amount of quantity that you are happy with or same perspective that you see a movie with. Not everyone is about propaganda, not everyone is anti, not everyone is talking about religion, not everyone is this or that. For some people, the world exploration is a fascinating thing. For some people, the movie is a movie only. So for some people, storytelling is a mean of entertainment, and they watch it, they indulge themselves in the world, they want to know more about it, and after that they keep it as it is. They keep movie and real world aside. For me, when I was in the movie, I wanted to learn a little more. For me, the backstory of Jaskirat was fine. The first sequence where they were taking the photo showcased a lot about Jaskirat's quality, showcased a lot about the character of their father and their bonding as well. If there was a little more sequence of Jaskirat and his father bonding and him taking tips or taking some knowledge from his father or him bonding with his sisters, the first sequence, then the second massacre would have built a little more. Yes, that is also true, but I am not complaining that he has kept it tight, and in this little sequence he has shown so many things as well. If you love a movie, if you love a world that the creator has made, you have the whole freedom to indulge in it. You have the whole freedom to create hypothesis scenario in it with the information that you have and that you don't have as well. Have the liberty, have the open-mindedness to create your own thoughts and own stories. Don't be like, oh, this was made in this way because the 3-act structure supports this, otherwise his character development would not have been like that. No, I'm just an audience. I just want to indulge more in your world. I just want to know your characters more. And you have written the characters so brilliantly with so much clarity that I am indulged in your world. I loved your world. So I want to feel more. Take it as a compliment. So Dhurandhar lovers, if you get to see this video, take these criticisms open-mindedly and think about it. If you agree with my opinions, fine. If you don't agree with my opinions, also fine. Try to take it in a constructive way. The filmmaker made the movie in a particular way that he dreamt of. If I would have made the movie that I would have dreamt of something else, then I would have made it in a different way. If you had made the movie, you would have dreamed it in a different way and made it in a different way. Everyone has their own storytelling. That was enough, I guess, for this video. Technically, Dhurandhar is a brilliant movie. The music choice of Shashwat Sachev in this movie, however, I believe some of the singers lacked a little punch, a little zinc that the first one had. For me, the first movie's album is still being played on repeat till now, and the particular songs of the second movies are so banger. I am listening to them in Paris. There are some particular sequences where the editing does look choppy, and the moment that they try to create doesn't land properly just because of the editing pattern. Like first movie had the Flipperachi where Rahman Dakit's aura moment glowed so brightly, so ambiently, but in the second movie, song choice of Ranveer becoming the Shere Baloch and the editing felt a little choppy to me. That was my point of view about the movie. Your point of view is going to be different from me. I appreciate it, and let's keep it civil in the comment section. If you like the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to Amlan Rexo.